earlier.
Is it?
We couldn't hear anything. Voice was very low.
I feel now it is all right, madam.
Okay, yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mansi Randhavi. When all the members global net latest
No, your voice is not audible.
Yeah.
actually
Full cloud then.
now is it audible? Yes, ma'am. Is it audible?
No, it's not audible. Some words we are hearing, but not like continuously. We are not able to hear.
Ma'am, it is audible. Yes, ma'am. Is it audible, ma'am?
Yes, it is now. If you are you speaking continuously, means we are not hearing. We are only hearing like are you audible?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mansi Randhavi. Welcome all members to Global Women Network's monthly meeting, and a warm welcome to our today's guest, Ketki Ghate ma'am, and managing partner, Oikos Ecological Services, and our founder director, Dr. Vinita Apte ma'am, Fair Policy Center. The Earth Day. Earth Day, which serves as a powerful reminder of our and us with an opportunity to reflect on the challenges facing by our planet, to explore the innovative solutions, and to protect and preserve our environment for future generations. Today's webinar embarks on a journey on our today's topic, Stories of Restoration on Private Lands by Ketki Ghate ma'am, founder and managing partner, Oikos Ecological Services. I request the director, Dr. Vinita Apte ma'am, in the Policy Center to welcome our today's guest and GWNN members. Over to Vinita ma'am.
Thank you, Manasi, for starting this meeting on time. And most welcome all the spectators through Zoom for this TARES initiative, especially the most warm. I don't want to use warm word because it's very hot over here. And we can see that we are celebrating the Earth Day, but we are not celebrating anything for the Earth. We are not doing any good job for the Earth. And I must tell you all that today's guest, Ketaki Ghate, is sincerely and passionately working towards the betterment of environment and betterment of earth, and looking at such young generation who are working for this passion, I really feel that we the elders should not feel very bad that there is no future for the earth and blah blah blah, but we should start working. If we have not worked earlier for the environment, we should start working from now. So our time is starts from now, those who have not worked till yet. But I welcome today to Ketki for sharing her experiences for the restoration, which is a very difficult part. Regeneration, restoration, rejuvenation are the little bit, looking at it, it's a easy words, but for working for it, it is a very difficult words. And practically sometimes it is difficult, not only difficult, but it is annoying when the other people are destroying the environment, and the passionate people like Ketki are working 24 hours for that. So Ketki, most welcome for this webinar, and we are eagerly waiting for your experiences, and through that I think the most of the world can sensitize the fear of environment and how they can work. Means many people they ask what to do, this environment is going very bad, but what can we do? So the small efforts also can make a big difference, and you are doing it very passionately. I know Ketki since her childhood maybe, but she is really working very hard, and I'm sure her model of working for the projects and working for the environment will will give you the path for for your behavior and for your future also. Thanks, and over to Manasi.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for your insightful words. Moving ahead, today we have with us Ketki Ghate, ma'am, and managing partner, ICOF Ecological Services. Ketki ma'am is a double graduate from native town Chalisgaon. She came to Pune to take a course from Ecological Society. With a passion to work for nature, he is a trustee of Ecological Society Pune and working as a core team and faculty for subjects like landscape ecology, eco-urban ecology, watershed management, alternative livelihood systems like forest food, sacred groves, and urban ecology. He is an ex-member of Pune Tree Authority, Pune Municipal Corporation, and also a member of JFMC, Pune, working as a visiting faculty for Masters in Architecture course at BNCA, College of Architecture, Pune. I request Ketki ma'am to brief about her organization and their activities. Thank you, ma'am. Over to Ketki ma'am. Ma'am, you can share your screen.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Manasi. Thank you so much, Vinita. It's pleasure to present our work on this platform, and I can see this particular platform. Maybe people from all over the world are joining. Someone from Congo has joined, so I'm really happy to see that it's not only our usual circle, but the subject is also maybe reaching out to somewhere else to different people. Yeah, so as maybe briefly Manasi talked and Vinita praised us a little too much about our work. But yes, we've been working in this field of ecological restoration since last 22 years. So me and Manasi is also there. I think I can see her. She's there. So both of us, Manasi Karandikar and myself. So we started this Oikos for Ecological Services 22 years back and thought to work for private landowners who maybe buy their land just as a hobby and just start maybe doing development in a very conventional way. And many times while they do that, they completely disturb the existing ecosystem. So we thought, why not to offer some kind of alternative to such people and help them maybe design some kind of conservation and restoration project so that they also have their project and at the same time they preserve the ecosystem integrity, and that's how we started Oikos. And so just to tell you briefly, and definitely then we'll go towards ecological restoration case studies and various stories from different projects that we did. But through Oikos, what we do is maybe till now we have completed almost 165 projects and maybe all over India. So what we do is, be it an acre or thousands of acres, we start with ecological assessment of land, wherein we visit each land in each season so that you understand that how biodiversity on that particular land changes. And then based on that assessment, we create ecological maps of the land. We understand that what kind of plants are there, what kind of birds are there, what kind of general ecological features of that particular land are, and try and take everything on paper and then add another layer of maybe planning or designing of ecological restoration. So as all of us understand, and also Vinita mentioned briefly that on this verge of climate change, we are completely heading towards some kind of change climate of Earth. So while we're doing that, we definitely need to act on land for restoration of resources. So it could be soil and water conservation, it could be plantation planning. So all these various layers we add to that planning. And then at the same time, we also do habitat planning. So it's not only plantations that we focus, but we also try and create habitats for various floral and faunal species, which could be rare, which could be common. Then we obviously stress only on native plants. So once you have native plants, then you tend to attract all the faunal species from surrounding, as simple as that. So these are the kind of services that we offer: ecological survey, then planning, then we also implement certain projects. So maybe I'll share the screen and we'll just go through few of our projects and simultaneously understand that what ecological restoration is all about. And then maybe if time spares, I would also like to take the questions. So yeah, so this is just to brief you that why we really need to do restoration of natural resources is basically because degradation is happening mainly due to human-induced activities. As you see in this particular slide, this is a backwaters of Devdar Dam. So one of the dams which supplies water downstream to the cities. So this is how our maybe upstream look like, So it is mainly because of human-induced activities. So, but what happens, the rate of degradation is much higher than the rate at which ecosystems restore. So that's why restoration is very important. That otherwise, what would happen? We are completely heading towards extremities, like climate change is there, scarcity of water is there, obviously irregularity in rainfall is there. So that's why we say that it's high time we combine conservation and restoration together. Then need of restoration of non-human beings. What happens in our day-to-day activities? We hardly think about non-human beings. Means everything is so anthropocentric. This particular photograph is very apt for this. This is the marmot, one of the animal species from Leh Ladakh, and you can see all their holes are choked just because of this roads, which are maybe vehicular roads, which are maybe every now and then people keep on carving out new roads in that vast open landscape. So that's why we need to think about them. Means it's high time to think about them. So rate of extinction of species and threatened species is increasing every year. And so at Oikos, we definitely believe that along with restoration of natural resources, we also need to create habitat for all these non-human beings and also consider their right to live on Earth. It's not only human beings who can just use the planet the way they want, but also these people because they are not able to maybe voice for themselves or not able to go to court and ask for justice. I think people like us only should be able to give or get some justice for them. So looking at this particular scenario, how do we restore or how do we conserve? So obviously there are various ways, and in this first point, what we've written is it absolutely depends on the availability of land, availability of resources, time, and also patience. You learn through this case study that why all four things are important. So the best practice we feel is assisted eco restoration, but obviously for smaller lands, you can also maybe stress on plantation. So maybe most of the project we don't stress on plantation if it's pure ecological restoration project. But in case of smaller lands, definitely we need to think about plantation. So this is how we divide our projects. Like there are few projects which are in natural areas where human populations are very low density populations, are a rural area where you can say it's a moderate density population, and urban areas are absolutely crowded. So all these three zones that we have around us, depending on that restoration strategy, plantation strategy, and the design, everything changes. So today I'll just take you through various stories. So let's see how much time we get, but yeah, but at least let's try to look at natural areas, at what restoration exactly is. So in this purist approach, where there is no integration with development. Here, the only thought is we do restoration for biodiversity, and it is applicable for ecosystem restoration. It considers ecosystem functions and biodiversity present in any given area. So ecosystems like forests, grasslands, coastal areas, which cover larger areas on our countrysides, we can have this kind of purist approach just because there is a human population is very less. So aim should be to restore ecosystem back to its healthy condition, because through decades, through centuries, definitely since industrialization, we have changed our ecosystem to completely extremes. Means wherever there were forests, now we see grasslands. So can we restore forest back, for example? So then in this, we definitely prefer to use local materials, local knowledge, and local time-tested technology, because the moment you use lot of materials and maybe very high-tech kind of machinery, you tend to improve carbon footprint of that particular project. So here, as far as possible, we try and avoid that, and we try and use everything local. So restoration of degraded land will safeguard the survival of biodiversity, and of course, it also will provide enough for dependent human population. So we, even if this is the purest approach, I think in long term, in the next generation surely will get some kind of benefit. Means next generation of human beings, I mean. And in integrated approach, because not everyone is able to do such kind of purist ecological restoration. So in this integrated approach, we consider community lands. So say, for example, there is a village, and if at all village needs to be self-sufficient, you definitely can have some kind of restoration strategy. So it considers integration of conservation perspective in development. So it's not that we are not saying no to development, but we are trying to suggest that it can be shaped in a certain way. And again, this entire landscape management is to satisfy needs of local communities. So be it fodder or be it timber or be it maybe even agriculture, horticulture. So where can we fit all these various land uses in a landscape is what landscape management. And then you go towards restoration and further many things till maybe plantations. And then integrating restoration principles in developmental project as well means, so say for example, there could be resorts. So resort, the way resorts are built conventionally, maybe you tend to replace everything natural and wild and have everything exotic. So can we just uh, try and integrate maybe native plants here? Can we just bring in some such kind of ground covers which absolutely give that kind of lush green color or beauty to that particular landscape, but you do have your own resort as well. So this kind of integrated approach we have. So this is just to give you some examples. So of our few projects, maybe I'm going to talk about few here. Is maybe our first project, then restoration in one Kusaude. So these are just to give you. Anyways, I'm going to talk about few of this. So then there is an integrated approach, both on private projects and community lands. So though till today, most of our project, I think 90% of our projects we have done on private land, but there are few projects which we have done for community as well. So let's start with this, our favorite case study. So back in almost 2002 or 3, when both me and Manasi were just passed out students of Ecological Society, and that time we had started this particular project. Oh, I don't see that project here. Just give me some time. So that time, just this particular area, so this project was near Pune. I'm not sure why I'm not able to see the slide. I missed it. Just give me 2 minutes. Sorry. Anyway, so sorry. I don't see that particular project, I think, inserted in this particular presentation. But anyway, so I'll just brief you what that particular project was. So here near Pune, there was just 1 acre on which we were working just as an experimentation. And that time we hardly were knowing about any plants, but whatever few plants that we studied, we thought to just plant it as a native plant grow. We decided to make there. And on one half, we planted all butterfly host plants. So, and then after a few months when we went there, so whatever butterfly host plant that we had planted, each of those were having like multiple butterflies, maybe 10, 20, 30. Each of the shrub was full with butterflies, and we were so happy that whatever we did was actually working. And then that's how we started that definitely we need to take this work ahead. So that was our first project. And now, if at all there are people from Pune on this, I can see there are on in this audience. So the DLRC school, which is there on Soos Road, is now built under that particular forest canopy that we planted almost 23 years back. So that was our first project. So I'll again reshare the screen and we'll go ahead with other projects anyway. So yes, so it was this Soos in Pune, and it was just half a acre project, and which was quite a success. And the wilderness also has increased very well. It had started attracting many birds, and absolutely then we thought, why not to form this kind of consultancy very much officially, you know. Then let's look at our natural areas and the kind of projects that we have in, maybe most of our projects are there in Western Ghats. So this is how Western Ghats landscape look like. In this particular slide, you can see this is one sacred grove, and which is there in Panchayat catchment. So you can see rest of the area is quite degraded. Means the ultimate protected forest are only these particular two patches, and these are sacred groves. Sacred groves means are the forest patches which are preserved after the name of some deity through generation, and that's why these sacred groves are just like museums of biodiversity, and hardly any sunlight reaches the bottom. And here you see all specialist species. So this is just to give you a glimpse of the specialist species. Maybe there could be wild dogs and giant squirrel and hornbill and this birds like shama. So these are all specialist species which thrive here, and maybe many RET, that is rare, endemic, threatened species, also thrive here. But unfortunately, what has happened over last few centuries or definitely few decades, what we have seen is this kind of patches are there only as islands within the landscape. Like you see the same sacred grove that I showed you in Google image, and the rest of the things are completely degraded. So this is what we, so even if maybe as a layman you might feel that this is quite green, it looks like it's wonderful green, but this is all secondary kind of forest. So maybe where these dots are appearing, these are various habitats. So this particular green dot is like only a shrubby slope. There is one shrub named Karvi, which is common in Western Ghats, which is there only on the steep slope. Then this particular yellow dot is representing shifting cultivation patch. These locals cultivate hill millets on the slopes by cutting the existing forest. So obviously it regrows and the secondary forest gets formed. And then there could be some such kind of clusterous vegetation just because of cutting and fire and grazing. You see the original forests are degraded to something else, and there could be some such kind of riparian patches. Means what? Vegetation all along the stream. So in short, the various color dots you see on the screen are various habitats. So, and basically all of them are representing degradation. And only this particular patch has its original, what you can say, habitat. So what we need to do in restoration is conserve these viable habitats and restore rest of the degraded habitats. And then how do you do that anyway? So that's what we're going to look at in, through this case study. So this is how Western Ghats are looking like. They are completely open. So actually, as per climate and rainfall, it should support vegetation like we've seen in earlier slide, like Sacred Grove. But it got replaced with this kind of open area. Then you can see again glimpse of this open areas, these birds like sunbirds and bulbul that you also see in cities. So obviously biodiversity is also responding to open area. So how do we restore that? That particular story we'll understand through this project that we've been doing since 2006. And this is there in One Kusavde in Satara district of Maharashtra. So this is a case study of restoration of forest land, particularly. And the owners of this land, maybe definitely few of you know this, the Bollywood actor Atul Kulkarni and his wife Gitanjali Kulkarni, actress, and also Dhiresh is also actor, and his their basically cousins and friends. They own this land. And recently, I'm happy to share this with you that the family also has maybe donated this land to our trust, Adivas Trust, and now we are just trying to manage that particular land. So this is where it is. It is there in Koina catchment, and which is obviously quite a high rainfall area, west side of Satara city. And if you look at the regional setting of the project area, it is part of Western Ghats, part of Koina Wildlife Sanctuary. So more than 1,000 meter sea level, and 5,000 millimeters of average annual rainfall means it is absolutely like highest rainfall zone in Maharashtra, one of the highest rainfall zone, and high speed wind. And as you can see in this photograph, it's quite a hilly topography. So what was our aim that time? Again, just to maybe have this kind of forest. So this sacred grove that you see on the slide is there in one Kusauda itself. So we look at the sacred grove as a reference site, that this is where ultimately we wish to reach. And again, why conservation perspective? Because many times the urban citizens are not dependent on that, on land for their livelihood like farmers do. So maybe having conservation and restoration on land is a like giving back to nature. So this is how the land was back in 2005 and 6, completely open grasslands, a lack of canopy, poor fertility of soil. You can see in the photograph, intense grazing was there, high speed winds were there. So absolutely kind of barren land was there. So we definitely have a long way to go. We know that. But let's see. So how this protection, it has maybe certain things to offer in basically restoration, sorry. So we started with protection. So protection also we decided to have just thorns. And from this particular slope that you see behind here, there is this plant named Chimat, Sputia indica, which is very common and very dominant. So we just took those thorns and just arranged in a certain way just to stop cattle from entering. And this gave fantastic results. When in restoration, we say biomass is a wealth of restoration because all this organic matter is going to go into the topsoil and going to texturize the topsoil. And that's what has started happening on this particular land. So if you see outside the land, it is hardly 1 to 2 inches of grass. And if you see inside, the grasses are absolutely very tall and we are not cutting it. We are in fact protecting it even from fire just by having fire line. So if at all fire is coming from this side, it would stop here because there won't be any continuity. So we have to do fire line to most of our most of our project every year. And this is the season actually. If you see before monsoon, if at all you do it so these locals, they burn their land in summers. So you have to do fire line in time basically. Then just to protect the land along with dry fence and fire lines, we also make live hedges. So there are certain species in India like this whitex or adathoda or certain ficus species that you can make green wall all along the fence. And that's an excellent habitat for smaller fauna. When your entire land is barren, this is the only support that maybe you are able to provide to the birds for nesting even. Then there are certain things like soil and moisture conservation. So very simple maybe techniques can be implemented. Maybe these are stone lines that we make. So stone line is nothing but arranging very little stone that can fit in your hand, maybe along contours. Contours means what? Means you actually it's a line of same height. So you can't have stone line across contour. You must have it along contour so that whatever soil is there, as you see in this photograph, gets arrested behind that. And if you have some hundreds and thousands of such stone lines, you don't change the landscape, but at the same time, you are able to conserve maybe soil, maybe even seeds get arrested behind stone lines. And this particular stone line, we don't even recognize. I mean, on this particular land, it has benefited us, a lot, these kind of stone lines. Then we also do some such kind of loose boulder bunds or gully plugs. So this was a erosional gully and we just had this simple technique and now you don't even recognize it. So we had maybe again hundreds of such gully plugs and stone bunds were made on streams, and then obviously tons of soil which otherwise would have ended up into Koina backwaters is still sitting on our land and providing us a good resource. So this is how soil gets arrested behind stone bunds. Another thing we did was percolation ponds. Means this is not for storage, but this is just to let water stay for a little longer after monsoon. And again, all these habitats after a few years, we don't even, because the vegetation is so overgrown now, we don't see all these physical whatever measures that we had taken. Then these are some kind of bunds that we built on streams. So stream restoration was one of the agenda. So this is again just to reduce the velocity of water. Means so that you allow water some kind of additional time to let it get percolated into the riparian zone. Then there was one interesting thing on this particular project site that we call it as headward erosion. It is a type of erosion, and it would increase every year towards this head side. And as you see, this particular brown patch has been like that for many years, as local tell us. So what we did, very simple, means as you can see, Manasi has used me like a scale. So that was a very deep pit kind of thing was there, and I used to get completely fitted well in that particular pit. So what we did is we had a stone wall here, and at another end we had bund. So just these two simple techniques has changed that one particular land patch within say 4 or 5 years. So then just because this bund was there and then soil started just getting accumulated, seeds started getting accumulated, and that's how we started seeing the most common grass species over there. And even it had started retaining some kind of insulating layer over grass till summer. So this is a photograph from summer, and then slowly it also many herbs, different herbs started gathering on its own. Means we didn't plant any of this. So different herbs started, just making its presence slowly, and this is how you can see good differences there. So, and then almost what you can say 2-3 feet soil layer got added to that particular area, and also it got restored. So earlier it was completely brown, but now at least we see some kind of biomass layer till next monsoon. So as a result of this various techniques, what we could see at once is improved habitats. There were various layers. You can see then we did native plantations. Again, focus was on native species, needless to say. So this is like Mangifera sism, Actinodaphne, terminalia, means mango, jamun, kisa, all these species were planted. But again, as I said earlier, the focus was not to do plantation, but to improve the strength of the soil to germinate the native seeds that would fall through maybe droppings of birds or maybe land there through wind or air. Then we did seed dispersal to a certain extent. A fantastic result we saw in terms of soil temperatures. So earlier open soil would get heated almost till 56 degrees centigrade or even sometimes 60 degrees here, completely open soil. But just with grass cover, it reduced to 44. And if you take it under shrub or tree, it would be even still quite less. So as a result, indicators means we look at biodiversity as an indicator. We look at species as an indicator. So earthworm size increase. Earlier very tiny earthworms were there, and now all of a sudden you see quite healthy earthworms. Their castings also have started increasing. Then indicators of such kind of new habitats like the signature spider. In one particular year, there were like hundreds and thousands of signature spiders. Then some butterflies started increasing here. Then indicator of increased insect population are these reptiles like this garden lizard. So obviously more garden lizard, that means more insects. So if all of you remember the school lesson where we had studied ecology and that ecological pyramid, triangle that we used to draw in journal maybe. So at the base, there are primary consumers and then secondary, then tertiary, then the apex species is there. So these are all primary consumers. Unless and until we have these primary consumers in hundreds and in thousands, you won't have stable ecological pyramid. So that's why having this kind of population of consumers is very important. Then another indicator of low temperature of soil, obviously, is snake. When we celebrated all these events, whenever we saw these species on that particular land, then these are leeches. I'm sure many of you know this. It sucks your blood. So indicator of increased moisture is leeches. So if the land is too dry, leeches are not able to survive. But then earlier, when we went there first time, that time though we hardly had, there were no leeches. Only around the streams we used to see leeches. But now you see leeches all over the land. Then watering need was reduced. Means earlier we used to water the saplings immediately after monsoon. But now we water the saplings in summer seasons, in April or May. So that means water holding capacity of the soil is increased, and that's what our objective was, that ultimately moisture levels of the soil should be increased so that it favors the growth of various microbiota, and also it favors the germination of seeds. Then there are certain rare species, as you see in the hand of Atul. So when we had went there one day, so this Russell's kukri was there. Russell's kukri is a non-venomous snake, looks like Russell's viper. But yes, now we see such kind of rare species. This is a limbless amphibian. So this is there. So this is not earthworm. Many times people mistake it for earthworm, but this is not earthworm. So such kind of rare species have started making its presence there. And this is how now the next few photographs I'm going to show you that how the land has changed over here. So earlier complete green, but if you look at this green, this is just like lawn, and this green color would disappear immediately after monsoon. But obviously because of high rainfall, it's all very kind of complete cloudy and high rains during rainy season, monsoon basically, and it gets followed by complete drought, as you see in this particular photograph. But just because of protection, there are intermediate changes where we could observe. So this is a perennial grass species which started cropping up. Then various tiny microhabitats have started shaping up there. This one particular species is Eulalia trispicata, which is a perennial grass species. If you know, most of the Western Ghats has seasonal grasses, like kusari is most common grass, but it got replaced with this Eulalia. Then many other herb species started coming up, and ultimately what we could see is dense shrubbery within few years. You can see this is outside project land. It is still completely barren, but inside the project land, it's quite dense. And the biodiversity index inside the project land is very high as compared to the outside project land. As you can see, there is hardly any structure to it. There are hardly any habitats. So this is the story of one Kusavde in just one slide. Okay, so this is barren land showing indicator species like bulbul and bush chat, then got replaced with some kind of intermediate perennial grasses, then shrubbery. So the moment this vegetation changed, we started seeing pipits and maybe birds like maybe these birds started nesting here. Then as the shrubbery grew, we could see forest birds started coming in, like this fur fowl and grey jungle fowl. And this is a recent photograph wherein we could see this Malabar parakeet. So this is a great change in that particular land, right? From complete barren to now we have reached a stage where it's absolutely dense shrubbery with maybe few standing trees. So obviously we are far from maybe forming a kind of dense forest canopy that you saw in the Sacred Grove, but surely the land is set on a right track to go towards that particular stage. And that's the obvious stage. Means we have just tried to assist nature in a certain way. So that restoration has started, and restoration is nothing but definitely you facilitate the entry of floral species and as well as faunal species. So this is the story of one Kusode that you can see, and there are obviously social benefits are there. We've employed local person, we hire local people whenever there is a little extra work for this. And what is the significance of such kind of pure ecological restoration project? It can be replicated at landscape scale. In India, we have more than 30% wasteland. And again, it has very low external inputs and minimal ecological footprint is there. If at all you do plantation, you have to keep on maintaining those so much that you end up spending so much resources on that. But here, just by offering simple protection, you can definitely change the land and excellent employment generation opportunity at a local level. So this is how with most of our ecological restoration projects work with this particular principle, that we try and improve the capacity of the soil, and instead of maybe focusing only on plantation. So maybe I'll show you one or two case studies of the same kind and probably then take the questions. Or if at all anyone has any question quickly, should we take it? Vinita, what do you suggest?
Yeah, as if you want, but I think if you can complete this
Okay.
in 10 minutes, we can go for the question answers.
Okay.
Immediately, if there is because I couldn't see anything in chat box. If anyone wants to raise any question, please raise your hand or type in the chat box. What say you?
Okay, yeah, so let's continue. So this was then another project that we did back in 2011, 12, 13, that 2, 3 years. And this we did for Sacred Groves in Kadamvira, which is there in Thane district, and Anjanavale Sacred Grove, which is there in Junnar. So in Kadamvira, this is how the patches of these two sacred groves were, little away from each other. And then we had also proposed this kind of corridor just to connect these two patches, because many times it happens that even if you try and create maybe preserve or create two patches, they become like an island. So unless and until there is connectivity, you can't assure long-term sustainability of such forest patches. So it's one of the very common tool in landscape ecology or that kind of management. So this is what we suggested. So this is how the sacred groves were. Means they obviously the sacred groves were also in ultimate degraded condition. This is one patch and this is another patch. So then we did mapping, as I told you, then decided what kind of restoration activities to be taken over there. So I'm not going to repeat. So you have seen in the first project very much in detail that it's the same activities that we do for every project. Dry fence and then the stonework and the trenches and pond. It's all same, live fencing. So then it's just that maybe depending on the soil strata, we change the techniques to certain extent, but more or less it is the same. Here the very good riparian zone was there. So over here we could do half moon bunds and loose boulder bunds, all usual things. Then very important part of this project actually was to do capacity building for locals, because the sacred grove is a tradition which was set by local people and they have been preserving it through so many years. So obviously we used to conduct multiple meetings with them, and again just so till date maybe they have preserved the sacred groves out of some taboos or some kind of traditional which was blind. But now we were telling them that it's high time that we look at sacred groves from scientific perspective, that why we need sacred groves even for our future generations, you know. So then that's how we used to discuss and exchange, because even these locals definitely they have tremendous kind of ecological knowledge. So that exchange happened, and then just with discussions we tried to take this project ahead. So ultimately we couldn't do the continuous corridor, maybe because of multiple ownership, but this is how we could execute the project in this particular way, in patchy way. And then this is another sacred grove which is there in Anjanavale in Junnar near Nadeghat. And as you can see, this white boundary is the original extent of sacred grove, but right now it is there only in this particular patch. So obviously, again, just because of degradation and maybe change in the belief system of locals, maybe it is affecting the sacred groves. And as you can see, there hardly any understory was there, because grazing was rampant, cutting was rampant, and local people used to just roam around the sacred grove everywhere. So what we did again, did the mapping, then decided to maybe close certain pathways and allowed only one particular pathway, and the rest of the pathways were completely closed. Again, all these decisions definitely were taken in a Grama Sabha. I mean, along with locals, definitely we took this decision. Then phase-wise, as per the budget, we extended this technique. So over here, you can see some shallow trenches or pits for plantations were taken, and ultimately the rest of the things were covered in 3 years. You know, so this is how we implemented this particular project. But for us, this was very important that we were working with locals and doing their capacity building, because they are going to be there. We were there till the budget was there for this particular project or when it was officially running. But after us, locals were the one who we wanted, to be a very important stakeholder and continue to protect the land and restore the entire patch, as you can see. Instead of maybe, as we said, attrition should not happen to that particular patch. And then obviously local were quite helpful and supportive for both this project. And yeah, of course, there were lessons as well from this particular project, and we could definitely, improve next time whenever we did community project. But yes, so this is just to tell you this story about this sacred grove. Then one more project that we're doing near Pune is we're trying to establish a private sanctuary in Panchat catchment. in Shirkoli. Shirkoli is the name of village, and this is the backwaters of Panchet Dam, as you can see, delineated with this white line. And this is what where the Shirkoli is, and this tiny red patch is where Rahar is. So this is a 60-acre privately owned sanctuary. So this is the Oikos project, and we are trying to just establish this particular community reserve or sanctuary with the help of urban owners. So this is how the land looks like. So it's a big slope and various habitats are there, as you can see in this particular slide. So there are grassland, there are shrubby clusters, there is a good canopy forest patches, so there is one spring, and you can see there is a very nice drainage pattern here. And we're very lucky to have this particular major stream along our boundary. So we've just built one hut here in 1 acre, and rest of the patch is completely, everything is completely protected, and the continuous documentation is going on in this particular area in 60 acres. So this is just to give you a glimpse of this, maybe how many. So there are around 124 floral species, and many species are rare as well. There are many orchids are there. Endemic species surely are there, like this Pinda coconensis is there. Fragrant species are there. When it comes to faunal diversity, surely many threatened species are there. And of course, so it includes maybe tiny damselfly to maybe even mammal, like even so leopards are even visiting this particular land. So what we did, again, the same story. We did protection, dry fence, live hedge, stone bunding, all these things were there. So this is just the list of various things that we did over there. Along with that, we are also trying to conserve RET species here. So like this particular flower that you see, a beautiful, in Marathi we call it a Songhanta, and the scientific name is Abichulon ranadei, which is a critically endangered species. So that we are trying to maybe conserve here. This is another beautiful orchid species. It's a ground orchid and which grows almost 4 feet in height. So we're trying to just maybe conserve all these rare species in this 60 acres. Then we did bunds, the usual thing that we keep on doing for most of our projects. We do bunding, stream restoration. Over here, we also did spring rejuvenation. So we did spring mapping from the entire Shirkoli catchment, and also did spring rejuvenation, which also is helping cattle as well as locals who take their cattle out for grazing. Then these are just photographs. This is how live hedge is made, fire line is done, and thorn pins, the same thing. Then stonework just to control the soil erosion. And the streams are so like flow with a great velocity that there are certain stream crossings that we made. And this is just to show you before after photograph. So complete barren land to some kind of biomass which retains over soil as an insulating layer even in summer. And again, the species are changing and indicators are changing. So earlier again, because when it was completely barren, we would see only common species, but now we see n number of rare species as well. Even leopard is there. So this is a camera trap that we had installed, and you can see here different types of deers and even wild dogs are there, and leopard surely is there. So we keep on doing various volunteering programs in Raha. So we did mammal mapping, we did tree census, we also did amphibians, night trails. So these are certain activities that we keep on taking up in Raha, maybe for school children or even for maybe architectural colleges. Then we also conduct this program named Nisarga Shala for school children over there, which are actually this Nisarga Shala is a program that we have designed into a set of 3 books. So these are activity books for basically teachers or parents, and there are activities given. So by reading it out, you can take it for any group of children for that matter. So that Nisarga Shala we were running for this particular, Shirkoli in Shirkoli village. So yes, so I think if at all means, should we stop and maybe just keep the next case studies? What do you suggest?
Yeah, we will take the question answers, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Manasi, are there any questions asked to the audience?
session and you can directly ask questions to our speakers. So you can unmute one by one and ask the question.
Yeah, someone has raised the hand.
Yeah, hi, Katie. This is Aradhana, and thanks a lot for sharing your wonderful work. And I just have one, the way you are explaining, it's like the way you are taking up the projects are is so easy to understand, and you're not creating any big infrastructure or making some changes in the land. But I have one question that when you tell us about the plantation, so do you what kind of plants do you always think what kind of plants to be trees to be planted, or what kind of species to be chosen for a particular area? Do you do any kind of study over there, or just you know
Yeah, yeah. So we do also conduct studies, but now since so many years, because we have been working in maybe various parts of India, definitely in Maharashtra. So we have our own database as well for each zone, and maybe we also keep on publishing it. If you refer to our website oikos.in, on publications page, you can see many lists of natives along with the plantation guideline. So definitely means initially when we started work, so that time we have done lot of referencing and also ground truthing. Means we used to visit all these natural areas wherever there are fairly protected forests are there, and we used to make list of all those areas. So that we call it as referencing or reference ecosystem. So that you understand. So if at all, for example, you are in Western Ghats, and if you visit maybe few sacred groves and protected government forests, and if you make a list, you obviously have all the natives from that particular area are there with you. You would know that that particular knowledge definitely can be used. So that's how we started. Then we also initially, maybe 23 years back, we also used to refer to gazetteers. But now we have like a wonderful database with us for entire Maharashtra. And as per zone, so what we do particularly for Maharashtra is maybe there are three different rainfall zones, like medium rainfall zone, which is there in Konkan, as well as towards east of Maharashtra. High rainfall is there in Western Ghats, and then central Maharashtra part is all low rainfall. So as per that rainfall belt, vegetation gets shaped, and as per that, forest types also get shaped. So it could be the evergreen, moist deciduous, or deciduous forest type. So as per that, then we make the list. And another thing, definitely, Aradhana, we do is look at the status of the soil. Means even if you have a native plants list ready with you, is the soil ready to have plantation? That is another thing we check. Or if at all it is few acres patch, we do strata mapping. And as per the strata, then we suggest the species. If soil is very bad, rocky substratum is exposed, then we do particular plantation of particular species, or sometimes even omit that particular plant. And if the soil is good, then we go for definitely little better species, common or rare species over there. So this is how plantation plans are shaped, definitely only with the native plants and the plants which would supply food to animals. So like say for example, we definitely include butterfly host plants, butterfly larval host plants, means butterfly complete their life cycle around certain species. Then we also plant birds food plants. So obviously looking at the faunal needs, looking at the current status of the soil, we propose plant list and then make the plant palettes. And much of this data is available in the public domain. We have also published one Marathi book named Lagwad. So all English guidelines definitely are there. But if at all you are able to read Marathi, you can buy that book, soft copy of book as well. We have not yet published the hard copy, but on Kindle and Google Playbook, you can buy that Lagwad book. In that we have given almost 22 different lists that can be used in maybe for various kinds of plantation.
Thanks for sharing that. You're following all the principles of environmental science, I believe. So, yeah, it would be sustainable. And that is the reason you are able to sustain all those areas.
Yeah, because there is hardly any chance that you go wrong. You do as whatever is native, and again, as per the status of the soil. These are very key two issues when you do plantation, if you follow that. And of course, maintenance is there. So if maintenance is done properly and if irrigation is there, then obviously most of our project have land has hardly has any mortality just because all these scientific principles are followed.
So basically, you always in all the case studies you were talking about steam restoration, and maybe there are some places where you have worked where there's no proper facilities for watering or irrigation is available. And what's your plan on those for those areas?
So over there, then we don't focus on plantations. So even the one Kusawade case study that you've seen, over there also there is no elaborate facility to water the saplings. I mean, it's just that there is one hand pump. So obviously, once the hand pump is there, obviously there is a limitation to water the saplings. So we don't focus on plantation. As you see on that particular project, the result is not of plantation but of restoration of various shrubs on its own. And that particular result also is very mind-boggling. Means maybe due to lack of time, I couldn't show you other projects. Means the project that we have done in rural areas and even in natural areas. So over there, we many times completely thrive on irrigation. And we do intense plantations over there of natives only. Again, right kind of native plants. But yeah, we do have certain projects where if at all irrigation is not possible, then we don't do that. And even that is good enough. Maybe you are not able to achieve canopy, you won't be able to have forest as such. But definitely biodiversity is there. Means ecological services those can definitely be shaped, even if you don't do plantation. And I think that's the change even we can see. So we've just completed 22 years this year. So when we had started work that time, this particular term no one was even knowing, ecological restoration. But I think thanks to UN, they have declared this decade as a decade of ecological restoration. And now this term is picking up, I think. And yeah, so it's beneficial as well, right? You don't have to spend too much. And obviously, you don't have to even arrange for too many resources. But at the same time, you are able to conserve the biodiversity. And basically, this is not about only plants, but we are also talking about invertebrates and microbes and mammals. Everything is there. So basically, habitat gets shaped. Habitat definitely improves with restoration, even if maybe you're not able to have forest immediately.
Good to know. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah.
Anyone else?
So you can.
Yeah. Dr. Vincent, please unmute. Dr. Vincent, unmute your mic.
Shall I put one small question?
Yes.
Madam, other than motivation, whether you are giving any incentives, because this is all private lands, though it is barren or unfertilized areas, people should be motivated. That is part and parcel of it. Other than this motivation and incentives, any incentives or any government schemes are being implemented for taking such projects in private lands?
No, so we have not really taken any kind of government schemes till now, because as I told you, most of the projects are like on private lands.
Yeah,
But yes, not government, but surely like the Sacred Grove project that I showed you, it
Mhm.
was a CSR initiative. So there is a company named Praj here in Pune. So they funded this project.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Very good work, madam. We should appreciate.
Thank you.
Yes, Pune, all, slopey lands. You are doing a wonderful job. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Meghna is wish to ask something?
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to ask. We tried doing some restoration and plantation of native species at our place of land in Nashik. And I just wanted to know how long do you think do the trees really take to reach a certain level? Because our land was barren, it's at the top of the mountain, so there was only farming happening by those tribals and farmers there. So
Hmm.
now that we've planted all the trees also, I see that, they're not fruiting, or even if the fruits come, they are not of a certain quality or the way we have it. So I wanted to know whether we can do something for the soil, or
Hmm.
that, how long should we have the patience that, okay, fine, we've done this, but it will take so many years for it to really come to a level that you can see the results.
Yeah, so surely I think you need to work on soil itself. And if at all,
Yeah.
if it's horticultural plantation, and that's why probably you're saying fruits. So
No, ma'am, the local fruits. I'm talking
local,
about
okay,
the some basic fruits that are already there, not like any fancy fruits from the local that
okay,
we've planted.
okay, but still, if you work around the soil, I think it's best, because even in restoration,
Okay.
as we say, that
Hmm.
it's restoration of precisely soil moisture that helps.
Okay. Hmm.
Whereas plants need moisture, not water. That we need to
Hmm. Hmm.
know. So if
True.
at all
True.
soil moisture improves and there is some kind of organic matter layer over soil, which
Hmm.
which triggers the activity of microbes within the soil. Basically, you need to improve the topsoil ecology. The
Yeah.
moment you have habitat for decomposers and you have
Hmm.
food ready for them, like organic matter in the soil, and right
Okay.
temperature of the soil,
Hmm.
along with little moisture. So that's the
Hmm.
perfect, what you can say, situation for
Hmm.
plants to grow. Any plant to grow. Means
Any plant.
be,
Okay.
be
Okay.
it agriculture or be it native plant. So
Hmm.
that's why
Hmm.
maybe improving soil moisture is extremely important. And if your
Okay.
soil is very barren, I think that's what you need to work on first. Maybe keep on adding
Okay.
organic matter, maybe just grow leguminous plants and don't harvest it, but just keep on flowing it in the same soil so that
Okay.
your nitrogen carbon balance also, is at
It will
least
improve.
balanced, improved.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then I'm sure your plants would see better future or better
Okay.
growth. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thanks. And
Mm.
how
Yeah.
long does it take? How many years do you think it will come to a level that, because
Um,
we've just planted it 2 years back. So,
No, so it completely depends on the soil moisture and the
hmm.
irrigation that you have. If you keep on watering it every day,
Hmm.
regularly, keep on adding or
Hmm.
maintaining it, the growth would be fantastic. But if at all any kind of assistance is not there, it would be very slow. So the same
Okay.
species, let me tell you, means there are few of our projects wherein we have done the plantation in the same year, but
Hmm.
on particular land where we are taking care of it and irrigating it very well, the
Hmm.
species
Hmm.
were growing maybe about 10 feet or something, within
Okay.
just 3 years. But if at all
Hmm.
you're not taking care of it, and again it's a rocky substratum,
Rocky.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
same plant would be just maybe at 1 meter, you know.
Hmm.
So that's the kind of difference that you have. So irrigation is the key, I think, along with the
Okay.
maintenance. But
Okay.
any plant means roughly you definitely it means if you plant sapling, healthy sapling of 3 to 4 years,
Hmm.
within another 4 5 years, you should be able to see good canopy.
Okay.
Definitely beyond 10 feet.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, ma'am.
Okay. I think our time is anyway running. Time is always running. And nice that there is a very good interaction. There's a lot of things we can learn from you, Ketaki. And I think you should start working on the handbook of how to go. You have some of the publications on your website as well as on there. But for the very common people, you should start working on the handbook for this restoration, the new idea coming
Yes.
up. Yeah. Okay, so Manasi, can we wrap up?
Before we conclude, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to our esteemed guests for their invaluable insight, deep and light, and
The
your
voice is not
contributions.
clear.
My voice is
Manasi, what happened to your voice?
Oh, I think it's
So
not
we
handle.
never heard very clearly.
Sorry, sorry.
Nothing. Yeah, there is some. We are sitting in the same office, but in opposite side, and there is, I think, a lot of network problem for her laptop. And here there is no network problem, I suppose. Manasi,
Yes, ma'am.
I think
We don't hear her.
No, I would like
can't hear.
to. Is my voice now?
No, not at all.
Is it audible now?
No,
We can come to your station only. That's better.
no. I think her laptop is slow. Mine is not.
No, you can just maybe ask her to come to your.
No, she's through working through laptop, and there is a lot of problem for laptop network, I suppose. She's
Oh,
in my cabin now. Let's see how
okay.
it is working.
mm,
So before we conclude, I
Ah,
would like to extend our sincere gratitude to our esteemed guest for their invaluable insight, expertise, and time. Ma'am, your contributions have truly enriched our discussion and enhanced the overall experience of all the members. Thank you, ma'am. So here I have a small announcement that anyone member, I request them to confirm if any of our members would like to host the next monthly meeting. So they can kindly email us in advance. And for the new members, you can get register yourselves on GWNN website and become our GWNN member. So with this, thank you once again. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you. Thank you so much. It was pleasure.
Thanks.
thank you
Bye.
very much,
Bye
Vanita.
bye.
You have done a very good job in
Thank
organizing this
you.
program. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And of
Thank
course,
you.
to
Yeah.
the
Thanks.
very good,
Thanks,
very
Dr. Vincent. We'll
Dr.
meet soon.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, Ketki.
Bye.